happened. Surely the opposite must be that something brought it into existence. But not only that, something that pushed it, prompted it, caused it, must have some type of will. Because a will-less thing can't bring something into existence. Would you agree with that? A will-less, meaning something that doesn't have a will.
That's not something I've thought about.
We can understand through some analogies. I mean, the analogies are never perfect for anything, right?
Yes.
But you can still give some analogies. Suppose you have, do you cook?
Badly, yes.
Fine. So you have your own kitchen, right? In your own home? Okay. And presumably there is a sink in your kitchen where there's a tap water and there's a fridge. Yeah. And then some, kettle maybe if you have tea or coffee.
Yeah.
So all of these are things in place. I mean, whether there's a teapot and tea bags and, whether you ignite with an igniter or is it automatic, everything is in place. Now, imagine we want a cup of tea to be served to you, right? All of the materials, the raw materials, the raw ingredients are there in the kitchen.
Yeah.
If you like milk, it's in the fridge. Inside the fridge, the door's closed, right?
Yeah.
So the door has to open, the milk bottle has to come out, and you have to, at a certain point, put the milk in before or after when you like it. The water has to turn on, the kettle has to go in there to collect the water then has to go to what? What we call the cooker or whatever, right? Or the electric maybe. These things need coordination so that eventually a final product of tea can be made. Now, if you look at this coordinated process, it's actually a process through intent and will. If no one willed it to happen, and you sit there in front of your kitchen for a million, trillion, zillion years, this tea will never happen. It will never happen because there is no intent to coordinate all of these things. So this just illustrates where when we have something as complex and organized as we can see, like the universe, it's very organized. The universe follows, whether you attribute it to a natural cause or a random cause, accidents or otherwise, the universe shows very much organization and harmony and complexity. It is a fact that is undisputable. The biological system, for example, that we are, they're very organized and very coherent. Very systematically put in place, regardless what the cause was behind it, right? Whether you attribute it to evolution, to cause a blind cause or a creator, the fact remains is these are irreducible complex things, biologically, for example, that we observe. So my only point to you is to think about it this way. Without intent and coordination, things to come about of that nature, it's not something that your mind, the intuitive mind, your logical mind will go by and say, you know what, that makes sense to me. You cannot actually come with this example of saying everything's possible even though it's improbable. Let me give you another example to illustrate my point, and then I want to see what your response is. Suppose we see a flying object just coming over, and it looks like a MiG-27, a bomber, right? Plane. It's very close, it's not too far, and it drops something, and it looks like a bomb, and it dropped, and guess what? It says, loves and kisses to James, Mansur and Hamza. That's the three of us, right?
Nice.
And then, of course, God forbid, we are all destroyed of this bomb.
Yeah.
People saw this because it was recorded by the cameras here and there, and say this is captured. Now, an intelligent person can come along and say, look, it's improbable that this is just a flying object, collecting, organizing by itself, coordinating by itself, coming over in this organization, which looks like a plane, dropped something, a particular organization looks like a bomb, and had effects of a bomb, and actually destroyed it like a bomb. So one can argue that this is actually all a possibility out of these improbabilities. There's one chance that it can happen, and this is a chance. Now, if that was the reasoning given by an individual, say a very well-known, notable scientist or a philosopher, you and I would say, look, I don't buy it. I don't get it. You know why? There's something else that tells me that this is not something that I can accept. What is that something that, first of all, would you agree with that scientist philosopher that is this one of these possibilities? Or would you say, doesn't look like that? And if you don't agree with the philosopher or scientist, I would like to ask you why.
No, I'd have to disagree with what he said.
Why would you disagree? Because it's possible.
It's because it's so unlikely.
But yeah, unlikely, but it's possible, right?
Because it's so complicated. Yes, it's extremely unlikely.
But it's not impossible, is it?
No, but the worrying thing about your analogy describing such a specific and the universe
It's more complex and more precise than my example.
But systems tend to become more complicated over time.
Exactly.
The universe, as we approach the singularity, was much more simple. The factors involved in the universe much more simple than those described in your analogy. So, do I have to be so incredulous that the universe arrived through natural or spontaneous means? Like, you're saying the universe must have had a divine creator.
No. This is just a jump of a leap of faith in this direction. What I'm saying is, the universe to be as it is, as we understand now, has inherently certain characteristics which we call them to be very precise, as you discussed earlier. I'm talking about this precision system that is already inbuilt within this universe.
Have we arrived at apparent precision?
It's not apparent. It's obviously
no, things are precise. Yeah, but is it designed or has it arisen?
Well, we can make.
Think about that. Think about the plane. Why don't you even ask the question? Is it designed? Well, maybe it looks like a plane, but it's actually not designed.
What Mansur is trying to get you to understand is the analogy. If we have real life examples in front of us in the real world.
I understand the analogy, but I dispute that it is useful.
You dispute applying it to the
origins of the universe.
Well, look, think of it like this, James. Because remember when I said to you that
if you speak with this one, maybe she's atheist.
what I tend to do.
Maybe she accepts Islam because you are strong.
Which way is doing it?
This girl.
Okay,
Which, if I have two options,
It's better if you speak with her.
and I want to choose the best possible option, obviously I'm going to try and rationalize and reason things out over there. And I'm probably going to go for the one that seems to me to be the most plausible in terms of what I understand and what I know. So what Mansur brought up as an example should, I think, indicate to us, given that we're reasonable people, that we try and see the obvious, that if the bomb that comes down and blows up things isn't something that can lead to chance.
I mean, we can attribute this as a chance accident that happened out of this one possibility which we give for the universe.
But it's highly unlikely.
Highly unlikely. The universe coming to existence is also highly unlikely.
Yeah. In fact, couldn't we argue that the universe is more highly unlikely?
That is my point.
Yeah.
But,
so I think that's what
but James seems to be disputing that it's not highly unlikely, it's very likely.
So in other words,
why is it very likely?
What James sees, what we see, what Mansur and I see as being highly unlikely, which is in front of us, i.e. what we see with our eyes, what we hear, what we smell, what we feel. Okay. If we amplify that and apply it to the universe, which is infinitely more complex, then the idea of the universe progressing from simplicity to something which seems to be infinitely more complex, I think any reasonable person would say that is far less likely than the bomb going off.
Sure. My third point, just to fully give you the picture, why I say it's more unlikely than this flying object and an object that drops like a bomb. The universe the universe even being there, while it shouldn't be there in the first place. Because if there's no creator, if there's no God, no originator, nothing to originate anything, then there should be nothing in the first place. So having something there is more really unlikely to be there by itself, like this universe, without giving a cause. So either the universe has to be always there to actually to be logically understanding the situation, you have to come to certain options. Attribute this universe eternality, where the universe has to be always there, because if it wasn't there, then it's far unlikely than anything else, like this plane, to come here, rather than the universe coming into existence from nothing. Because from nothing to get into something